You're with Dr. Nita Chhinzer, and in this episode we're discussing just cause dismissals as well as insubordination-based dismissals. Dismissals for just cause are the most drastic disciplinary step that could be taken towards an employee, and one that must be handled with deliberate care. While dismissals damage the goodwill of a company, as well as sever the employment relationships, there are times where this dismissal is required. In Canada, there is the belief that we have to have dismissal for just cause, and that is employer-initiated termination based on an employee's poor behaviors or performance. When there is dismissal for just cause, which means that there is a legitimate reason behind the dismissal and that the fair disciplinary process was followed, then the employee is not entitled to anything beyond what they have already earned and are owed. For example, their vacation time earned must be paid out and wages earned must be paid out. There is no additional severance or reasonable notice periods or additional payments beyond what is already owed. In the case of dismissals for just cause, the onus of proof lies on management to prove that the performance of behavior in the past was below acceptable levels and that the organization provided feedback and allowed for opportunities to correct behavior that led to the poor performance or behavior. In addition, the onus of proof also lies on management to indicate that the established rules and regulations were communicated and known to the employee. The allegation of just cause must be considered using a contextual approach, looking at the alleged behavior in the entirety of the employment relationship. Fundamental question is whether or not the employee has irreparably harmed the relationship to the point that it would be unreasonable to expect the employer to continue the employment relationship. Just cause can be demonstrated in cases of disobedience, incompetence, dishonesty, insubordination, fighting, and persistent absence or lateness. However, just cause cannot be assessed in isolation. Employee misconduct, including theft, expense account fraud, abuse of sick leave, etc., is a fundamental violation of that employment relationship and can constitute just cause. Unfortunately, the prevalence of theft behavior in Canada is alarming. Recent cases include the Canadian Revenue Agency, which fired 20 employees for fraud due to claiming COVID-19 benefits while they were working. There was a case with Reach CPA that fired a remote worker for time theft. The employee logged hours on clients that they did not work on, and they were required to pay back roughly $26,000 to the employer associated with that time theft. The most common forms of time theft include taking longer breaks than allowed, arriving late or leaving early, or wasting time while at work on the internet or social media. One of the most prolific cases recently was Harvey School District 152. It fired their food services director in an impoverished suburban school for stealing nearly $1.5 million worth of cafeteria food, mainly chicken wings, over several years. The director would order the chicken wings and then intercept the delivery via a cargo van. The wings never reached the school or the student, and little is actually known regarding where these wings were redirected. Now let's talk about insubordination. Insubordination is a form of misconduct or disobedience of a manager's authority or legitimate orders, including the employee's refusal to perform certain duties or carry out a manager's order or instruction. Employee misconduct is a form of just cause dismissal if the misconduct is not based on a serious or genuine misunderstanding by the employer or the employee. For example, if refusal to work is due to an employee's perceptions that the work is unsafe, thus it poses a risk, then it's justified under occupational health and safety considerations. Comparably, employees who refuse to do work outside of their known duties may be perceived as insubordinate from the employer's perspective, but this may be a legitimate refusal from the employee's perspective. There are some very clear cases of insubordination. For example, a FedEx employee physically assaulted her supervisor while on work premises and was immediately fired after that. MTU Maintenance Canada fired an employee who sent a series of angry emails to HR, which led to a meeting between the two in which the mechanic physically intimidated and yelled at the HR representative, including calling them names multiple times. X, which was formerly known as Twitter, tracked their internal chat platforms after Elon Musk's 2022 takeover, resulting in the firing of some employees for insubordination due to the content of their internal chat posts.